Good morning. It is November 9th, 2024, Saturday, a few days after the U.S. election results were finalized. I'm here in Nairobi, Kenya, and I just wanted to pop on here real quick before I head off to my yoga class. Things are really tense right now in the U.S. and, dare I say, across the world. I am currently in Nairobi, Kenya, and the way Kenyans were tuned into U.S. election results was just like, I wasn't expecting it. And maybe I wasn't expecting it because in the United States, we are very rarely tuned into what the rest of the world is doing. Our news cycle is very domestic. And in my apartment block, I noticed that people really did not move until the election results were finalized, which was about 10:30, 11 a.m. East African time. And at that point, then I started to see people start to go to work. But even then, most people did not move. So, I voted for Kamala Harris or Kamala Harris. I voted for her. Um, and I was stunned. I was not glued to my TV. I mailed in my ballot. Well, it was a mail in ballot, but really I faxed it in a couple of days before. And my Kenyan girlfriend called me up and she was like, "Are you going to stay up and watch?" And I was like, "Absolutely not. What will be, will be." And she was like, "You're smart. Yeah, you're smart to do that." But I could tell like she was really glued in. And my friends around the world were like, "I don't think you guys realized how what happens politically and economically in the United States is very central. We were all glued in." I said, "Okay." So I woke up and I saw that Trump was in the lead and too far in the lead, depending on where you stand. And I said, I just need to ground myself. I need to ground myself in nature. And I went over to the Nairobi Arboretum and I saw other people strolling around the Arboretum in a daze. And I got the sense that people were just like me, like, let me just ground myself in something solid. Then I began to move around my neighborhood, which is Kilimani, in the afternoon. And it's a Friday in the city, and it's not a lot of people out. That was interesting. And it just seemed like there was this somber mood over my neighborhood. I can't speak on the whole city because I did not move outside my neighborhood that day, but it was quiet and it just seemed very, very somber. What we don't realize as Americans is that it's a lot of money, a lot of opportunities tied up into who is running the country. Scholarships, donations, pledges, all types of opportunities. And then folks is worried about their family in the US. Will they be impacted by the racial backlash of MAGA Trump supporters? So there's that. I did not get the memo. I did not get the memo that we were supposed to be withholding our votes in support of Palestinians. And, I am a human rights lawyer and former activist, community developer. I would have strongly considered withholding my vote if I knew that's what we were going to do. But some of y'all know I don't tune into the news, haven't done so in over 10 years to protect my mental health, unless there's something really trending and then I'll have to do a deep dive and do my own research. But I didn't get that memo. Apparently, there were millions and millions of registered U.S. voters that withheld their vote in support of Palestine. And I get it. But I do have some predictions, and as someone who has a podcast dedicated to encouraging people of African descent to return to the motherland, whether you're somebody like myself who's been separated for centuries, or you're somebody who is continentally born and you're making your coin in the global north, in this case in the United States, I do have some predictions. Trump's first term, when he was running, some Americans were threatening to leave the U.S. If this man gets elected, I will leave the U.S. Very few of y'all did, although thousands of Americans did as a result of political dissatisfaction. Most of y'all stayed. This time around, I predict that many more Americans is out. There were people that voted Democrat because they were voting the lesser of two evils. There were independents, there were Green Party that didn't vote, that did vote for the lesser of two evils. There were even people that voted for Trump that were unhappy with where their votes were going, but they decided to vote what they thought were the lesser of two evils. I predict that there will be more Americans seeking to live abroad. Already, as it is, it's hard as hell for Americans to land a completely remote position. Those positions are in high demand. What I predict for Black Americans, for people of African descent in the United States of America, I predict more Blaxiting. And as someone who has lived in East Africa for going on 7 years now, I want to tell you, you are welcome. Karibu, which means you are welcome in Kiswahili. I don't come on here painting fantasies. I'm not selling lies. I will never tell you that Africa is a utopian. There is no place on the planet that is a utopian community. But if you want to mitigate the racism, rid yourself of a majority of those microaggressions, macroaggressions, Africa. We got 54 countries. Choose one. At the same time, I realize that most of y'all ain't going nowhere for various reasons. And I also realize that Africa ain't for everybody. But ultimately, what I want to see you do is I want to see you self-actualize. And my podcast is a love letter to my people. Who it reaches, it reaches. If you find that you can self-actualize in Europe, in Asia, in Latin America, do you. But I want to see you happy, and I want to see you live in your joy permanently. We remember what it was like under Trump's first term. Folks felt real emboldened to act un-Jesus-like. I can only imagine that it's about to be worse than it was before. And you're going to need a safe space. And Africa is a safe space. In the United States, as Black Americans, we spend so much time trying to prove our worthiness and demonstrate our humanness that there's very little space to just be, to just self-actualize, to relax on your laurels, to rest on your laurels, to enjoy the fruits of your labor beyond consumption. So to this I say, you are welcome. You are welcome here. Kenya has announced its digital nomad visa. It will be among the fourth in Africa after South Africa, Namibia, and Mauritius. So look into that. I've done an episode about that. You just need to earn $50,000, have a U.S. passport, and not earn your money here in Kenya. Check out other YouTubers that are living across the globe and get in where you fit in. I also offer consultations for those of you who want to deep dive even further. But y'all, I want you to be well, and I want you to know that this is a safe space, generally speaking, as no place is a utopia. I love you.